the ways, let me count the ways, let me count the ways. What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about the top 10 ways females disrespect you in prison. Now, this video, I can make this a 20-part series because there are tons of little ways that women will disrespect other women in prison. There are also tons of ways that guards will disrespect inmates or inmates will disrespect guards. There's a lot of disrespect that goes on inside of prison, and I'm going to break all of that down for you guys today. Now, before we get started, y'all already know I'm not glorifying or glamorizing going to jail or prison. There is nothing cool, fun, or funny about it. It is my hope that in sharing my story, it will deter some of you from making the same kinds of mistakes that I made. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you are going to go to prison, there's something that you have to know, and that is that you have to be respectful at all times. Not only do you have to be respectful, but you have to stand up for yourself if other women are not respectful to you. That just goes without saying, you know, and it's something that you pick up on very quickly. So let's talk about the first way that inmates will disrespect you. This is something that I like to call dry snitching. This is the biggest form of disrespect. This is the biggest that you could possibly have in prison, and this is something that will get that person probably beat up. So what is dry snitching? What does that look like? What do I mean? Dry snitching would be like if I had just made hooch, which is prison-made alcohol, and a correctional officer walked into the unit and someone said hella stupid loud, "What's up with that hooch, Jess?" What? No, you didn't. No, you just did not say that loud as hell where the correctional officer can hear you. That is dry snitching. So that is literally the worst thing that you can do to another inmate, because now if the correctional officer heard what you just said, which probably he did, they're immediately gonna toss your cell. They're immediately gonna be looking for whatever it is that this bitch over here just said that you had. So yeah, dry snitching is one of the worst ways that an inmate can disrespect you, and that goes against everything in the inmate code too. Now, if you see this going on, you definitely have to stand up for yourself, but this is such a small thing that most people that have never been to prison are gonna be like, what's the big deal? Who cares? If you are on the phone talking to your family and there is a girl standing next to you, not on the phone, not doing anything, just standing really close, like standing up on the wall while you're on the phone, like right next to me, like you're right here and I'm standing like this, just listening to your conversation. Just standing there, listening to you. That is another really small way that a woman will disrespect you. Why are you standing right there? You're not on the phone, you're not doing anything, there's nothing right in this area, you're literally just standing on this wall to hear what I'm saying on the phone. Now, this might seem very, very small, this might not seem like disrespect, but in prison, this is disrespect. And the reason why that female is standing there just listening is to see all different kinds of things. Are you gonna talk crap about the people that are in the unit? Do you have money coming in? Do you have a visitor coming in? There are all different kinds of reasons why that female wants to hear what you're talking about on the phone, and she's gonna stand there and she's gonna listen to what you're saying. And unless you say something about it, that's never gonna end. Unless you say something about it, or unless you learn a different freaking language, she's going to stand there every time that you're on the phone to see what you're talking about. Now, there's a million different reasons why disrespectful female number one is listening to female number two on the phone. Many situations could have gone down before she's just standing there listening to you on the phone. So now saying something while you're on the phone with your family member, saying something in that moment is not really a smart idea, because then your family member is going to hear you fighting with someone and they're going to be worried. So in my experience, I would just wait until the phone call was over. Maybe if I didn't want her to hear something that I was saying, I wouldn't talk about whatever it was, hang up the phone, and then I would address it. I wouldn't have addressed it while my family member was on the phone, because I don't want them to be, you know, worried about me fighting with someone. That's the last thing you want to do in prison, is make your family worry about you even more than they're already worrying about you. While we're talking about a phone, let me tell you the third way that a female will disrespect you in prison, and that is by talking stupid loud while you're on the phone and they're like close to you having a whole conversation. They're being straight up disrespectful. And there's a couple of different reasons why they do this, and I'll get to that in a second. But if I'm talking to my friends and you're 2 feet away on the phone and I'm like in an open dorm, there's a million other places where I could be having this conversation, but I chose to have this conversation loud as hell right next to you. It means I don't have any respect for you. That's the reason why they do it, and it is very disrespectful. If someone comes in the unit and it's quiet and they're yelling about something or going off about something, that's disrespectful too, because the unit was just quiet and you're coming up in here screaming and yelling about something stupid while we're trying to watch TV or while we're trying to be on the phone. That's disrespectful. But if someone is like standing in your bubble while you're on the phone having a loud ass conversation, they don't care about you and they're gonna make that point be known, and they're doing that for a reason. Number 4, moving your stuff. Now let me tell you about this. This might seem very small, but this is the most passive-aggressive bullshit that you could ever do in prison. So at McPherson unit, which is the last unit that I was just at, you had to have a radio to listen to the TV. And women would put their radio on these metal benches that we had to sit on. Really uncomfortable. But you would put your radio wherever you're gonna sit on these benches. Now, say I put my radio down on the front row where this little tiny TV is, and I'm gonna watch whatever's coming on, but I have to go make some food or I'm going to do something else, I have just saved my seat with my radio, and then you come over and you're like a cat and you push it off the bench. That is disrespectful. That is a blatant, you just crossed the line into disrespect. But that would happen all the time. The fighting of the radio on the bench situation. People would try to save their spots by putting their radio down, and someone would come by and just freaking move that shit over and sit right down in that spot. That will start a fight in prison. That is a big no-no. Do not move your stuff. Now, it seems small, but it's not. Number 5. Reckless eyeballing your mail. Now I have a whole story time on my channel of what happens when someone gets your address to your family. But my address was stolen when I was in the county jail in Arkansas, and this female had taken my address of my friend, had gone all the way to New York and was staying there and stealing from him, and it was this whole bad situation because she had taken my address in county jail. Now I never in a million years thought that that would happen. I thought maybe if an address of mine gets stolen, they might just write my family. They're not gonna go try to live there at my family or friend's house. So that was a crazy story. If I can find it on my channel, it's really old, I will link it down below. But reckless eyeballing your mail for your address to write your family, or reckless eyeballing your money slips. So if family members send you money, it comes on a little sheet, a little form, and they send it to you through the mail, the prison does, to let you know like, oh, Jessica, your mom sent you 50 bucks. Well, we all know what those money sheets look like. And at mail call, if you're reckless eyeballing those money slips, ooh, that is disrespect. You need to keep your distance and stop trying to reckless eyeball my mail or my money slip. Number 6, talking to your visitors at visitation. So every single week, most prisons allow visitors to come in. I never had a visitor when I was in Arkansas. The 2.5 years that I served there, I would have random visits in New York, depending on if I would approve or deny the visit. I was a very shitty kid when I was serving time in New York. You know, young, 18 years old, I would deny visitors, I would deny my mom coming in. I just wouldn't want visitors. So, but let me just explain this one to you. If you're at visitation with your husband and you're talking to him and another female is in visitation, they have a visitor, but they're trying to talk to your husband, that is so disrespectful. And this is a situation where you can't say anything in visit, because if you say anything on the visitor floor and you start a fight with her, you're gonna lose your visits for who even knows how long. 60 days, 90 days, it depends on, you know, the hearing that you have. When you are written up and when you're in trouble, you go in front of a hearing committee and they, like a little mock jury, and they decide if you're guilty or innocent or what your punishment is gonna be. So if she is talking to your visitor, That is so bad and it's so disrespectful. And keep in mind, your family does not want to think that you're gonna have problems. They want to think that you're okay. And if you're fighting with someone on the visitor floor, it's bad for so many reasons. You're gonna get written up and your family's gonna worry. So a lot of times you just have to sit there and like bite the bullet. If you're not willing to throw down on the visitor floor, which is very, very bad, you're gonna lose your visits. But if you're not willing to say anything, you just gotta sit there and deal with it and try your best to ignore her until you get back to the unit, because this is prison, this is not the Girl Scouts. So that is a really serious way that inmates can disrespect other inmates. Number 7, if a female just walks up in your cell and you didn't give her permission to, blatant disrespect. She doesn't care, she does not care. This is a situation that happens to a lot of new people. A lot of new people will let the veterans come in and out of their cell, and that's just not good. I was always the kind of person, if I was in a closed tier unit and I had a cellie, I didn't like people coming in and out of my cell, and a lot of times neither did my cellie, and I would make sure that people weren't trying to come in and out. For multiple reasons. One being they could steal from you. 2 being, the second reason being I like my space. I don't want you just up in here. If you want to talk to me, we can talk in the day room. You're not trying to come in my cell. Back up. Also, I'm a Virgo. Everything's neat and organized. I don't want you touching my stuff. So inmates can control very few things, and having our cell nice and neat is one of the things that we can control, and that's a lot of times what we did. We liked our cell in order. We liked it very neat. Not everyone. Some people just don't care, but the Virgos cared. So yeah, if people are coming in and out of your cell, that is a blatant disrespect, and you have to put your foot down. The first time someone does it, you have to let them know, you cannot come in my cell without my permission. Back up. Because if you let it happen the first time, they're gonna come in again and again and again and again. Number 8. Cutting in front of you in a line. Now, let me explain lines in prison. You have to wait in line for everything. For pill call, commissary, chow, library, anything that you're going to do, you have to stand in line for. Church, rec, you're standing in line. So you're in line, at the bare minimum, you're in line 3 times a day for chow, at the bare minimum. But you also have to stand in line for rec, and you have to stand in line for everything that I just mentioned. So if you're standing in line, and say this one girl is ahead of you and her friend walks up and they start talking and they cut you in line, that is disrespect, and you have to be like, no, back up. Back up. And if you don't, you're always gonna get cut in line, and they know that they can cut you. They know that they can just stand wherever they want. They know that it doesn't matter what line you're in. It doesn't matter when you go to commissary. So if you let them skip you in line one time for chow, they're gonna skip you in line for commissary, for rec, for med call, for library. They're gonna skip you in line every single time because they can. So that is a really nerve-wracking thing where you have to stand up for yourself for all of these situations. And while that seems so small, I promise you that is going to get on your ever-loving last nerve the longer that you're in prison, because every day you're standing in line. Every day you're gonna get cut in line. Like, no. Let me tell you why this is important. Say this girl keeps cutting you in line and you're going to chow and there's coffee in the chow hall, but the coffee always used to run out, okay? But say she cuts in front of you in line and you just really want coffee. You don't have commissary coming in. This is the only cup of coffee that you can have a day, and they're really tiny cups, and you're just waiting for this cup of coffee. You woke up at 4 a.m. trying to get this coffee because you just really want that coffee. It's the only coffee you're gonna have today. And this chick cuts you in line, and by the time you get to the chow hall, she gets the last cup of coffee. And you have to watch her drink the last cup of coffee. You can't tell me that you wouldn't be pissed off about that. So that is why you have to let it be known that you cannot cut me in line. Back up, end of the line. Number 9, I don't know where we are, who knows. Snatching your stuff from you as a joke. Just as a joke. So say it's mail call and I get a piece of mail and the guard calls me over and hands me my mail. And I got my envelope, I'm just here with my little envelope, and someone goes, "Oh, what's up? What's up? Come get it." And they're just joking around. Bitch, no, it's not okay. It's not okay. And then they'll even go a step further and start to open your mail. So that is a problem. And a lot of people try to play off a lot of things as jokes. They try to play disrespect off as they're kidding around, or they're just joking, or relax, or you need to calm down. By the way, when in the history of ever have you told a woman to calm down and that made her calm down? Oh, you're right, I need to calm down. No, never. It just makes it worse. So all my guys out there, don't tell a woman to calm down. Don't snatch my stuff from me, you know what I mean? Like, you have to stand up for yourself. And while a lot of people try to play it off as they're just kidding around, I promise you they're not. They're seeing how far they can get with you. And we're in prison, we are bored. We're watching everyone's body language, eye movement. We're watching what they're doing. We're watching how they respond to situations. Everyone is taking notes on everyone else. The correctional officers are taking notes on the inmates are taking notes on the correctional officers. The inmates are taking notes on everything else because we're watching. I would know when a correctional officer had a bad night the night before because his mood changed this much. And while he thinks he's playing it off, I know that something's wrong. I can just tell. I could sense that. I could know something's going on at home. Maybe this week you have a wedding ring, next week you don't. Maybe this week you look more tired, you're a little stressed out. I could always tell what was going on with the officers without talking to them, just watching their body language. Number 10. When you are cooking something and a female is trying to reach over you for stuff, or they're in your space in some way, whether that's the chow hall or you're cooking something or you're writing something at a table and they're breathing on you and they're reaching over the table for stuff, that is another way that they're trying to disrespect you. And while, like, again, it seems small, you have to let it be known, you can't touch my stuff, you don't touch me, get your freaking dragon breath out my face. Like, that's another way that they disrespect you. Oh, I just thought of another way. Okay, another way that inmates will disrespect each other is if you are new, and this happens a lot of times with new people. If you are new and you walk away from your bunk and you come back and there's like a group of girls sitting on your bunk, you have to let them know they can't be there. I guess that would kind of fall under when they just come into your cell, but there are two different types of dorms in prison: a closed tier cell where it's individual cells with you and one other roommate, or an open dorm where it's all just bunk beds. So there's different types of units, but you can't just sit on someone else's bed without being invited to. And if you're new, a lot of people will come in and just try to sit on your bed, have a little social group, have a cup of coffee, hanging out on your bed. Now that would never fly with me. That would never be okay with me because I don't want you in my space. Go over there. You live over there, dude. You're 5 houses down. That's kind of how you talk in prison. You'd say things like, to make yourself feel like you're normal. Like, dude, don't you live 4 doors down? It's an open dorm, there are no doors. Or don't you live 5 houses down if you're in a closed tier with cells? House, this is my house. It's a cell with a bunk bed and a toilet and a sink, but this is my house, and that's just the terminology that you use. Get out my house. I didn't invite you in my house, you were trespassing. All right, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed my top 10 ways that females disrespect other inmates in prison. I'm gonna end today's video here. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober. Please do not break the law. You don't wanna deal with all this bullshit, and I'll see you in my next one.